Why would anyone pay $69 million for a JPEG and a hyperlink?
Anything you got to say about NFTs?
I think they're the future. I think they're gonna take. I'm high, but
the tail wags the dog for buying like a pudgy penguin.
Why don't you go look at some non-fungible titties, nerd?
Hello, everybody. What is going on? We are back, baby. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to NFT Mania, the no-nonsense approach to all NFT markets. We're talking JPEGs. We're talking NFTs. We're talking Bitcoin technology. That's right. We're going to cover it all right here. I'm Eric Crane. I'm joined by two of my BFFs. First off, we got Brett Ritchie. Brett, how's your Wednesday, brother?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling good today. I'm feeling good. Finding out all kinds of gossip before the show that I'm I'm not comprehending. I can't handle it, guys. Next up, we got Melissa Burr. Melissa, how are you?
I'm doing well. I woke up super early. I beat my alarm. This new diet got me waking up early.
What's super early? 10 a.m.?
I beat my alarm and woke up at 12:15 today. I'll have you know. Okay.
Sorry.
Early.
So
early,
afternoon. It's super early.
I hate everybody right now. Right now, I just hate all of you. It's unbelievable. Oh, I got up at super noon. Meanwhile, my kid's kicking me in the jaw at 6 a.m. Daddy, can we be awake? Melissa's still going to sleep for 6 hours. I don't know. All right. Before you guys kick it off, I want you to let you know that we're going to be taking questions at the end in the chat. So go ahead and type those questions in the YouTube chat, and we'll get to them in just a little bit. But starting off, chances are, despite the market looking grim, you're having a better NFT month than Seth Green. Green fell for a phishing scam and lost the Doodle, 2 Mutant Apes, and a Bored Ape. But what makes this especially interesting is that Green has been developing a television show centered around his Bored Ape. His name's Fred. Fred, though, of course, got stolen, and now there are questions on whether Green can move forward with his show. Since Green doesn't own the ape, it's possible he doesn't own the intellectual property, putting his show in jeopardy. Green's reached out to Darkwing84 on Twitter. He owns the ape. He bought the ape from the scammer, but he hasn't had any luck in retrieving Fred yet. Melissa, this is an absolute disaster, and it was always going to happen eventually. It's just happening with Seth Green. This is the first one to have it happen.
Well, it's not the first. It won't be the last. The security.
I know with the intellectual property thing. It's the first.
Oh yeah, I mean this shit is going to keep happening if people don't wise up. The security around these things partly lies on the project. Bored Apes got their Instagram hacked, I think 2 weeks ago. And, the project needs to crack down on security, but people, if we take anything away from the show, you cannot be clicking links. Like you just can't. Anything that comes through Discord and you think it's a Bored Apes dropping a surprise mint, they're not.
Yeah, they're not, guys. Don't worry. They don't have 1,000 spare apes they're waiting to give to you for free.
The space as a whole has got to stop clicking shit, honestly.
So when you look at this, like, Brett, do you think, first off, what would you do if you were the guy that had bought the ape? Like, are you selling it back to him at cost? What are you doing here?
Yeah, I would sell it back at cost, but I'm not sure that's what's happening. I looked at Seth Green's Twitter, he was like, it's almost like he might just want it back for free. He's like threatening legal action. Like I think he might want this other guy to take a huge loss and just give Seth his ape back. It's unclear. I tweeted a bit ago. I was just curious. By the way, the show looks absolutely horrific. Like, I don't know who the target market is for this thing. Like, and I watched.
There were a couple actors. There were a couple actors and actresses I recognized in the trailer too. I was like, hey, I know that person.
Gary V.
Was that Gary V?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, Gary V's in there.
Oh boy.
Movie star.
I didn't laugh once. I don't know. Maybe it's not a sitcom, but I watched the whole 1.5-minute trailer, and it was just not for me. I don't know who the audience is.
You don't think Fred the bartender Bored Ape is going to be something you're going to attach to?
I don't think so. I'm just here. I don't know who the audience is, but I'm not sure. So first off, yes, like if I bought a stolen asset or something, and the owner wants it back at the cost I paid, I would always honor that within some reasonable time. Like, it's not just an indefinite window, but certainly like there's some grace period where I would say, hey, sure. So I don't know if Darkwing's doing that. I don't know if Seth Green's willing to pay. He seemed apparently in the U.S. if you buy stolen property, you're kind of out of luck potentially based on the law. So if Seth's trying to do it that way, that's not very Web3 friendly. I don't know the answer to that. That would turn like the whole space against him if he just tried to get it back for free and have this other guy take a huge loss.
See, maybe I misunderstood, but I thought that consumers were protected. Like if they buy something that they didn't know was stolen, like that's kind of the issue here, is that there's no way to prove that Darkwing didn't know it was stolen. So like if he legitimately didn't know it was stolen, he's protected.
It doesn't matter though. This is a decentralized space, and the problem is that OpenSea claims to be decentralized, but they repeatedly will put warnings on this ape and make it basically unsellable. So the real victims that happen, there's two victims. There's Seth Green, let's call him a victim, who accidentally lost his ape, but the buyer who buys it, if they don't, they buy it and then it gets flagged, then they're essentially left with zero. They have to go to a different platform, where OpenSea is really, that's not decentralization. It's supposed to be self-governing, and what happens. That's always been crypto. So, I mean, I take issue with OpenSea technically not being decentralized when they intervene in situations like this, when they don't intervene for other things. I know countless friends that have gotten scammed or clicked links. They're not going to bat to try to get those assets back or mark them. It's not their place to mark the assets if they're not going to mark all of them. That's my opinion.
But you look at like you said, it's not decentralized. Like that's great and all, but once you start getting into like the legal issues, like the legals they're not going to say, well, it's decentralized, so we can't worry about it. Like I don't know what's going to happen. Like obviously, a lot of this crypto stuff hasn't made its way into court yet. But Brett, like if he thinks he's going to get it back for free, he's stone insane. Like there's no way.
I mean, that's it's unclear based on what he's saying. I'm just speculating. He's talking. He spent I thought he was an actor. He spent 18 years studying copyright and industry laws. Now he's a lawyer all of a sudden. I don't know. I get that you got hacked, but like, you're blasting this guy that from sort of the outside hasn't done anything wrong, right? All he did was buy. Like the buyer always gets fucked too. The hacker got the ETH out already, so now this other guy is in a bad spot because he just paid a ton of money for this like flagged asset, where now the other guy's calling him a scumbag. The guy with 1 million followers basically is like, I'm taking him to court. He won't, deal with me. So I personally think it's kind of unfair to Darkwing here. I think Seth just tilted. He got hacked.
Wouldn't you be tilted if you spent that much money making that show? I'd just be tilted that I made the show. Like you don't even have to be tilted about the ape.
Well, like
sure.
It's a matter of who needs to take the L here, and if they go to court with this, the other side could argue that Seth like willingly clicked a link and signed permissions or gave a seed phrase. Who knows? I heard rumors that they give over seed phrases. But if he was complicit and he was socially engineered, he wasn't, they could make a case in court that it wasn't stolen. But the person who shouldn't take the L absolutely is not Darkwing here. Seth was the irresponsible one, and now OpenSea and the industry is getting involved. But we're all operating under this decentralized idea. But Darkwing absolutely should not be the one taking the L here.
I agree.
So
hopefully Seth just pays Darkwing what he paid, and that's it. And then it's moving on.
That's the only reasonable. Then again, Darkwing might not want to sell. Like that's.
Well, then that's different. Then you can be like Then you can start calling Darkwing out in that scenario. I do think that. I mean, I think the right thing to do is to sell it back again within a grace period, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks. If you get the stolen asset, the owner can buy it back at cost within that time frame. Beyond that, it's like you can't just hold it. I'm not holding it for you for 6 months, buddy. Like at some point now it's just mine. You had a window, but I do believe in that window where you can get it back at cost. And now I don't know whether that be USD or ETH cost. Like I tend to think ETH, but now what if something goes down? Maybe you got to pay a little extra, sweeten the pot a bit. I don't know, but anyway, hope it works out. I still won't.
Hope it works out. I don't know, man. I think it looks fantastic with Fred the Bored Ape bartender. Just kidding. All right. So a week ago, I got a message from my two co-hosts. They wanted me to purchase this free mint. Now, before this week, my free mint history was pretty brutal. I'm still holding a spin cycle. I'm still holding exoplanets beyond. I'm still holding barely naked. I did end up with one of these free mints though a week ago. Goblintown And 2 days after I got it, I sold it for 0.5 ETH. It was just like, it was free money. It was a free half an ETH. Naturally, because this happens every time I sell something, they're up to 0.9 now on a mint that was free less than a week ago. Brett, Melissa, I know you guys minted multiple. Brett, what made Goblintown different from the rest of the free mints that have failed and screwed us?
It went up. There wasn't anything like, I saw it on Twitter. I know, and I shared it with you guys. And so I minted a ton of these. I minted like 25 or 26. You could only mint one per address. So I just did MetaMask, like create a new address, send the ETH over. So like I was somewhat of a believer from, given how cheap it was, even with all the gas transferring and everything, is still like less than $20, and it's 0.003 maybe total to mint these. But I basically completely paper handed them because I didn't quite believe that this thing was going to do amazing. I still did fine, but I sold my last one at 0.33 when I had 25 of them. So it's like, looking at this price, obviously I wish I'd held. But I just didn't, especially with the market as the way it was. I don't have a great explanation. It did well.
I want to hear it. I want to hear Melissa.
So yeah, after these started taking off, I need reasons in life. I need to know why. So I started investigating this project. I hold two of them, full disclosure still. One has laser ears. And there was something distinctly different about this free mint. Like, a lot of free mints just blast it and hope it goes to the moon. We've seen that a number of times. I feel like I remember seeing Mike Dudas tweet about these a while ago, like when we were already minting them, and I'd seen him tweeting about these. And I respect Mike on a level to his knowledge about crypto, etc. And I was like, that's kind of odd. So I started digging a little deeper, and lo and behold, I have found out now, this Goblin project is slow dripping the information about the team. They're slow dripping this hype throughout the project, and that's why you're seeing these increases in the floor. They're teasing something. The most highly sought out Goblin I can see has a McDonald's brim, and that's the most highly sought out one. There's a separate Twitter account, McGoblintown, and they're teasing burgers. They're teasing a lot of different things. There was rumors that they were connected to Yuga, which I don't believe. But they were really smart in the way that they slow dripped the information in the release. And now they're 0.9. So like, yeah, it looks like a heroic hold on my part, but I had looked into them a little bit more, and the premise of all of this is that apes marked like the height of euphoria for NFTs. We're all making money. We're throwing money at the wall, and it was coming back 10 times. Here, you're kind of marking the bottom as the goblins. This is a commonly used term in crypto, going to Goblintown, because it's all going to zero. And they're very smart the way that they created this. So I think this is more than just a free mint. They have a team that's behind this, and the information is slowly hitting Twitter and the speculation as to who's behind this. But whoever it is, they're very smart. They held a space where the Goblintown account was in full character, speaking in this Goblin speak. They love it. And the other thing is, we're so degenerate. We're so thirsty for a mint that this came out, and then it blew up. We were like, we were playing Jackbox at night. We were almost convinced these were going to be zero by the time we were done playing Jackbox.
We thought within 4 hours, they're sitting there like 0.1, and we all agreed, like all of us thought these are going to be zero by the time this game.
I mean, I gave one away free to you. Like, I was just like, let's just all ride the Goblin train. Like, fuck it. And now here we are. And, this could be the pinnacle of free mints, I'll say. It might be early. There could be another one.
I think CryptoPunks is going to have that crown for quite a while.
Oh, no, I meant for this market. I meant for this lap. Okay. I'm not talking about, no. I mean, this is our beacon of hope for this market right now.
Not me. I sold, so now I'm just fucking swimming against these things.
This is 100% though, when Brett's like convincing himself to buy back in.
No, I'm not. I won't do that here.
Oh,
but it's also like I get the team or whatever is nice, but it's probably there's a good chance it's their 20th project, and they just keep hot potatoing projects. Like, that's the thing in this space. We've seen it with Azuki. A lot of these anonymous founders are like total scumbags that are just going to hop from project to project. I'm not saying that's the case here, but it's likelier than when it's, I know who this person is. and they have some sort of track record.
Well,
So
what's the difference? Because
I
we
think
knew who
they
was,
could be. They could have just caught lightning in a bottle. Like, I think people are like, oh, they did such a great job. Like, Azuki was probably another rug that just got hot, and the community was like, look, we like this art or whatever. Then the guy's like, okay, like, I'll quit just rugging everything and actually
well, we've
try and work
seen
on this.
projects before that are led by known scammers. They've lapped this industry like multiple times, and they
Sure.
still got behind them and they still rallied. And it didn't matter what their price was. I was never buying them, you know, with this particular person at the helm when their critical decision level just clearly is not there for this industry. But this team is going to get released. We're going to find out who's behind this, and I bet we're going to be shocked because yeah, the Twitter likes to hype things, and we got super lucky finding them early, but you know,
It'll go down, I guarantee it. People like a mystery. Like, trust me.
They do. They do love the mystery, and as long as they can keep that up, the price will go up. But if they overlap mystery with some sort of utility that follows this, then you know, you never know. But I mean, if you do, like, at first glance, you look at them, the art's, they're like ugly, but they're purposely ugly. You know, the art is still very detailed. Like, if you look at some of the, and you read the attributes, the traits, they're hilarious. You know, you're looking through the traits, you're looking like that ear, this ear, like they're just, they form this own language. If we've learned anything from crypto and this market, is that people will hop in to be part of the crowd, and they're single-handedly creating their own crowd.
People were so excited to be just a part of something, just because the market has just been such a freaking mess over the last few months, that people had a chance to get into something fun for cheap, and people love to mint shit, and they could do it for free. And this one happened to work out. And speaking of, if you're watching the show, chances are you invested in the NFT market. Chances are the last few months have been rough. By all accounts, we are in a bear market unless you're Goblintown. OpenSea fees and trades are both down, as is likely your portfolio. Melissa, let's have a little chat. Let's talk a little bit. What can people do to protect themselves during a bear market?
So there are certain things that mirror what happens in crypto and ICOs during 2017. You're trying to find right now who will be here in the next 3 years, or however long this lasts, 6 months, a year, because we're seeing projects fall off. So you got to know when to cut the cord with projects that are failing or not producing anything. But now is a time where, you know, you could argue that you could be in an accumulation phase for some of these projects that are, you know, well below their floor price. But if the differences between this and ICOs is that if you can see a team that's working, that's still pumping out these updates in this gift of poverty, I'll say, and time to do that, then, you know, you should investigate those. We shouldn't still be throwing darts at the board. We can't just be out here minting Dutch auctions and guaranteed to make money. Like, those days are gone. Now it's time to protect your assets, figure out who's real, and try to play this game that should have been being played during this bull market. But we were all kind of protected by this up-only bubble. Now's where you're going to start to see investors look deep dive into the projects and find out who's worth any kind of substance. My advice to anyone who's trying to survive this is to not panic with the projects you've sold and that you have conviction in, because you don't want to be the guy that sells the bottom. And that's going to happen. But I would really just take this time to educate yourself on the projects that are out there, the new projects that come, unless they're a free mint, unless they have a proven track record for a lot of different things, for all those metrics. I'm staying away from almost everything except the projects that I'm doubling down on, which could be bad. It could be good. I don't know. But I would rather invest in something that I have more information on, rather than Dentacoin back in 2017 that was clearly bottomed out. There was no way that was going to come back to life. But I believe that the projects that are continuing to work are going to get rewarded at the end of the day, at the end of this.
Yeah, you know, you said something a little earlier when you said that don't be afraid to, like, get rid of the projects that you don't believe in. That's something that personally I kind of had to learn. I had like 35 of one particular project who I'm not going to name because we don't talk about Bruno. But I saw this project and it was just going nowhere. There was like a small window to get rid of it. And I don't know. It looked like I was paper handing a little bit, but I just wanted out. And like, Brett, I know you've done this a little bit too, where you're just like, once you want out, and you're not afraid to even list a little bit below the floor to make that sale.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's a lesson I learned. I would say last like September. October, right? Because it was real bull run up through that, and then in certain stuff, especially like art blocks, saw a total crash. Like you often need to be very aggressive when there's low liquidity into a set to make sure you get a sale. So that does involve like fierce undercutting. There's other times where like if there aren't buyers, you don't need to be undercutting each other because it's irrelevant. Like that's a spot where I'm going to hold. Like I'm not going to race to zero against somebody else when there isn't the buyer isn't out there. So I think, yeah, I agree with Melissa. It's for me right now, it's about being patient. Sitting in ETH mostly. Like I'm in an art blocks curated today. Again, mostly as a short-term play. The price got low enough where I felt it was plus EV. But for the most part, it's you can back up your positions that you like the projects that you like. There's some very good deals. Like who knows what that means? But right now is a good time to be buying. I think it's actually a great time to be putting out bids on like rares in sets that you like, because when there's no liquidity or like low liquidity, people get a little impatient, and like with Bitbirds, the collection we love, to be fair, hasn't necessarily worked out. But like last summer, I got the #1 rarity for a 0.15 bid, because it was sort of, kind of dead, and the guy just like sold it for whatever. Whether the set goes anywhere or not, like I'll take my chances at 0.15 on the #1. So there's opportunity, I think, for the WETH bids is a smart way to approach this market. In the set you like, find the pieces you like. You can really like, kind of build a nice collection. You don't need a ton of ammo for that approach either.
Yeah, and just the volume being down on a project that you like is certainly disheartening. But especially with NFT birds, Bitbirds, whatever you want to call them, the owner is constantly active in his Discord. He's constantly asking for feedback. What can we do? What can we do? And he's been at it for over a year now. So, I mean, if the volume's not there, but your community is still active, it's still one of my favorite Discords to be in, because everyone's so chill and they're just like, yeah, it is what it is. It'll work out or it won't. Like, but the owner is still trying really hard. Like, I don't mind holding all my Bitbirds. I'll put offers in them. And, I do believe that, Dabiri, the owner, is incredibly smart and he's going to do the right thing. Whether, they're one of the OG projects. We talk about them all the time, but the project has to show signs of life. If the volume's dead, but the project's live, in my opinion, that's okay.
You have out.
Right.
Like the ball is still in the air.
Yeah.
So, but like I have my portfolio is filled with graveyards of currently still active projects that are very liquid. So that's not a foolproof recipe, but it's better than a straight up scam. And like I like these things, so I think they can still get running. All right, Jax.
Yeah, I know that you guys mentioned that, like, don't be afraid to get rid, and then you can hold some. Like if the project still has signs of life, like Alphabetties haven't sold anything in months, but like they're still active. The Discord is still active. They're still active on Twitter, and I still
it's a real people.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm very happy to hold 20 of them, and if they go to zero, they go to zero. But
they did.
At least they have
back
signs
to
of life.
0.01 now.
Oh baby doll, here we go. No, I mean, but they're not just like rugging. Some of these teams out there, they will disappear for months at a time, and then come back and say, "Oops, sorry, our bad. We'll try again. We'll do better next time. This time, I swear." And then it's the same cycle, and people keep getting tricked into it, and that's not good. But we're going to talk about a few projects.
Just very quickly, they aren't making any more 2021 NFTs either. So you never know in 2024, 2025, which some of these, like we saw some random ass 2018 NFTs totally moon this year. So there's gonna be a lot more people, coming in. So I'm personally, I'll hold my sort of like cheap and liquid 2021 NFTs rather than try and sell for pennies.
Yeah, make sure the project is active. That's like, to me,
that doesn't always matter.
But I mean, you want to find out if it's active when deciding whether just to dump for pennies or so. Like when I sold the one project, I'm like, this project is dead. The founders haven't talked in 2 months. Like I'm just getting out while I still can.
But it's a bunny playing a guitar.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Let's talk about Bruno. What are you doing?
We do not talk about this. We said we're not going to do this.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some projects that we do think are going to do well. Time for our picks of the day.
Make the party rock, drop it like it's hot. Everybody stack, I'm stacking to the top.
All right, Melissa, let's go to you first. What's your pick of the day?
Okay, so I think if you're listening to this or you're watching this, you know that I work for Epilabs, and we haven't talked about them at a great deal, and I wanted to wait to talk about them until I knew more about what was happening on the back end dev work. But this is a project that is, in my opinion, the best AI in space. They have a lot of opportunity to do a lot of different things, and the next evolution for the Epilabs is called the Epilab, which is going to be a landing site for any person who holds a single Epo piece to have access to. And the first feature that they're rolling out are Epo banners. I think this is a tremendously undervalued portion of the market. And part of what we've been trying to do is churn out features that actually have real utility. I have said it multiple times. I wish I had a banner. I wish I could have a banner of this art, but I couldn't crop it right. I couldn't size it correctly. All of the Epo banners will be sized specifically to your liking, and you can change them as many times as you want. And they're working on countless other things. They're coming up with a build for a recustomization for the Epo heroes, where you're able to not only customize your hero every single day if you want it and swap it out and change it. Now, if you remember the Epo hero mint, you could mint with modifiers and try to pick out the Epo hero that you really wanted. The two devs that are working on it, Elric and EL, are working on a new upgrade where you can add a beard, you can add eye color, you can add different things to your Epo hero. So, I mean, as we go through a bear market, if your project like Epilabs is going to continue to deliver different pieces of utility for the NFT you already own and not go back to the well and charge you, like these are the projects I want to be on board with. And I think you're going to start to see that these types of projects with actual real world utility are going to be here for staying power. And once the Epilab drops, I think you're going to see a spike in volume. And it's not only that, the generator is fun to roll and it produces amazing images. And I do believe that people, once they figure out and some other things about Epilabs, recently we were invited to be part of the Seattle NFT Museum's the first NFT museum in the US. It's called the Art Machine exhibition, where we went to the community and had them, give permissions on eponyms, that the Gen 1 eponyms, and they're being featured in that museum June 4th. Like Epilabs is constantly working. They're building out their team. They have a lot of things in process. I think we're going to do great things, and I think the holders are going to be happy with it.
All right, Brett, what do you got for your pick of the day?
I like the playing with that generator, by the way. I think Epilabs does cool stuff. So excited to see the banner thing coming out. I'm going to go with Killabears here, which is this was another free mint, actually. A while ago, I did not get in at the free mint tier. I got in around like 0.04 to 0.2 is around where I was buying these. I flipped some. I still have, I think, 3. So it's ran up a bit. So I'm not necessarily saying I would buy here, but the price action on these has been really interesting. Like during the other side land sale, when everything was dipping, they held steady. During like the big kind of lull/crash after, they held steady. They really, I think they might have dipped to like 0.1 or something, but it was a spot where like the other stuff that were like these was 0.02. So like that 0.1 was like a bullish 0.1, even though it was 0.17, the week before. It's a real artist, a doxed artist. It's just been like they've held up surprisingly well, and then they've been kind of marching a bit. So I think it's an interesting project. Again, like I'm mostly in wait and see, kind of on the sidelines mode. But I'm not selling these right now. I think the price action's been really interesting. They've held up as this sort of random free mint in this, like when a lot of other things were collapsing. They've been quite resilient. So it's like that's enough that's got my attention.
So I actually recently sold one of these. I have 4 of these. I sold one that was basically like a middle tier one for 2x floor. So that's a pretty good indicator that people buy what they like in this collection.
There's a lot of sales above floor here. And then Tony, if you could play one, they're all animated. So
they're all
bear,
that's
the bear
the other
walks.
Thing. If Twitter
if
Twitter implements animated profiles, you know, and there's been speculation of that. I'm down with these animated profile pictures that do more than simply exist as a picture. So yeah, the buying and the price action on these is pretty good, and I feel pretty good. I mean, I don't know too much about the team, but I again, this is one of those ones where I like the art, I like the concept, and Brett, like Brett said, they held up in a time where it was the most turbulent of times, and 0.1 was a good bullish indicator at the time for a project.
It really was.
All right, well, you guys are talking about free mints, and my pick of the day, it's more free mints. That's right, guys. Gas is low right now. Yesterday, I jumped on a free mint. It was less than $4. It's not going anywhere, but it's less than $4 to mint. Who cares? So for those of you who want to get into the NFT game, and I know there's some of you out there who see us talking about NFTs, but you don't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get in. This is a really good way to get in for super, super cheap. If you can find these free mints on Twitter, and typically, you could, if you're following the NFT people, like the right NFT people, just look at Burst follower list. That's or follows list. That's all you have to do. Look at Burst follow list, follow the same people, and you're going to find people that are giving out some of these free mints. This is a great way to get into the NFT space at no risk. You find these free mints. That's the way to go. Anytime you can have upside without any risk, you take those opportunities. And these free mints, it's free mint summer, and hopefully we see some more like Goblintown, because it's free money. It's free money, and we all love free money. But that's it, guys. We got to wrap it up. Brett, Melissa, great to see you guys again. Thank you so much for joining me. We had fun. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank producer Tony for running stuff behind the scenes. We always appreciate his hard work both during and before the show. That's going to do it for us, guys. For Brett Ritchie, for Melissa Burke, for producer Tony, I'm Eric Crane. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Come on, I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. Come on, I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. Come on, I never sleep if I don't have. I never sleep. Come on, I never sleep.